So here we have a new 2023 Hyundai Ioniq 5. And this one comes in the beautiful Abyss Black on gray perforated leather interior. And this is going to be an SEL trim level with all-wheel drive. So we get the dual electric motors. And then this one also has a long-range battery as well. But as we come around to the front here, really love the styling of the Ioniq 5. We have our LED headlamps along with LED daytime running lights. Just a really clean kind of Tetris block look going on here. And I absolutely love it. And then down here we have 19-inch aluminum wheels. And I didn't like them at first, but they've really grown on me. They really do match this kind of styling that go with the Ioniq 5. And then we do get passive keyless entry on the front two doors. And then look at this sleek door panel here. I love it, absolutely love it. So we do have one-touch up and down windows for the driver and front passenger. And then just regular roll-up windows, or regular power windows for the back. And then we can do our child lock and window lock, the touch of a button here. Unlock, lock button. And then we can power fold our mirrors, blind spot monitors in those. And we can either go left, middle, or right, and then we can move around our actual mirror glass in either side mirror. But I really just, this door panel is one of the best I've seen. It's got a ambient kind of light feel here. And it's just really deep, easy to hold on to. Everything feels so nice, but really it's the colors that make it look so exotic. And the patterns, everything just looks so neat. Then we have our power lift gate there, automatic brake hold, traction control, brightness for the gauge cluster, and then we have an electronic parking brake that you can pull up to engage and then press down while on the brake to disengage. And then here we have our power driver's seat with power lumbar support. Before I check out the rear leg room, I just want to see if I can show you all this window sticker so you can see what comes on here. Of course, great warranty. And then we have a few options on here. Probably about $500 or so. And then sticker price for this is $52,820. Let's hop back here. So really impressive room back here. My knees are just barely touching the back of the seat as I move them, but how I sit normally, they actually don't touch the seat at all. And I have the seat in front of me adjusted for someone of my size, being 6'3", with longer legs, so very impressive. And I still have several inches of headroom. Very impressed by that. Then we have the vent back here. I love having these on the side here. Hyundai just did a really good job with just designing this in general, but it's crazy how just having a little bit of ambient lighting makes you feel like you're in a freaking Rolls Royce or something. Like, I feel so luxurious in this car. Then we have the nets behind the seat there. And then two USB-A ports here. Little storage pocket there. And then middle seat folds down. We have our cup holders here. Oh, I love that dome light. Oh, that is beautiful. I just really like this car. I drove it at the Chicago Auto Show last year, and I didn't really get a chance to dive deep into it, but it's just a marvel. It really is, interior-wise. And there's our back end there, LED tail lights, really fancy. I just love that block look there. Really cool. And of course, plenty of cargo space. And there's the charger that comes along with it here. Just want to admire this rear end one more time. Absolutely stunning. So here's our charge port here. And then if you need to use fast charging capabilities, you have that available. And I had to cut the car off to open the charge door. And then we can also fold these seats flat here for even more storage. And then we can actually, it's crazy, we have several different settings for the seat on how you want to lean it back. So it's about 4 or 5 adjustable places you could have the seat back. And then here we have our front passenger seat. Now I will say, for the money, even though you have a manual passenger seat, my Mustang Mach-E has the same thing, and mine's a single motor with the extended range battery. But this comes pretty close to looking as good as that Mach-E. And I'm a bit biased when I say that. So let's see what's under the hood here. So the front mounted EV powertrain is underneath all of that, which is pretty neat. And it's nice to be able to see a lot of stuff going on here. Easy to put certain liquids in there when you need to. And it just feels more traditional as opposed to having the front. Let's go ahead and hop in the driver's seat. Love the steering wheel. And just a really clean look. It really does remind me of just a Tetris car if they were to have one. Just having the blocks and everything, just really subtle styling, but at the same time, like when you look at it, it just looks futuristic. There's really not another EV that looks like that. And even the Aria, although it looks very futuristic, there's just something about the gray interior and just how all the screens are bright. It's just crazy. So we do have AM, FM, and XM radio along with Bluetooth audio. And then we have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto as well. And I believe you do get wireless CarPlay, but I'll have to double check on that. It doesn't say it on the sticker, and that's usually where I go to be 100% about certain things, but I'm pretty sure this has wireless CarPlay. And then we do have seat warmers here, 3-stage for the driver and front passenger, and we have a heated steering wheel as well. And then it's cool that we can actually see our climate controls on here, and then I can go either use a screen here or I can use the buttons down here below. And what's really cool is how it has different chimes. So when I hit it down here, it has a note, and then when I hit it up here, it has a different note for the screen. So really, really neat. Very subtle, but it does feel very futuristic in that sense. So I want to go over just a little bit of what's going on here. So we looked at climate controls. Here's the navigation screen here. And I like that it pulls up your previous destination immediately, because it kind of decides, hey, I know you go to these 5 places, so which one of them do you want to go to? And then it's also easy to exit that out if you're not needing it for that. But just really subtle, but really cool at the same time. The whole car with the infotainment system especially. And there's our backup camera. Guidelines follow you as you turn the steering wheel. And then you have the front and rear sensors. And you can see those on the right side there. And then I like how they kind of have the vents here hidden. And they don't feel cheap at all. And then really nice that my hazards are very visible. I'm not having to look for the button anywhere like on most cars. But down here, regular buttons, like I said, so I can hit the auto mode here. I can adjust the fan speed here, and it's really easy to use these controls. It's not like it is hard to do. Just really impressed here. And then a volume knob. And then we also have a tune knob here, which we can also use to zoom in and out of the navigation screen when we're in that setting there. Parking sensors toggle here. Camera toggle there. Just really, really refined and smart way of doing this interior. USB port, 12 volt. Cup holders there. 2 more USB ports. Wireless charging pad down here. Now I am intrigued on why they didn't put any USB-Cs in here, but I really don't miss them because I don't ever use that port anyway. And then here we have a little storage here. And this is awesome. So armrest, if I don't need it, I can keep stuff in here, and then I can really, if I want to put my backpack here in this middle section, mine will fit perfectly in here, which is really a game changer because of my Mach-E center console's in the way, and I do have space down here, but I can't fit a full-size bag in here and then still be able to put my arm down. So that is impressive, very impressive. And there's a view of the back seat from up here. And then, liking the Aria, love the soft touch. I can just run my finger over it. That doesn't get old. And then we have our SOS and Blue Link buttons here. Universal garage door transmitter here. Into our glove compartment. Really good size there. And all of our owner's manuals and such in there. Really have not found a complaint about this car so far. And love this. It's just subtle. I just feel like I'm in the Jetsons right now. So we have our favorites here. We can set that up. So when we hit this, decide whether it takes you to the EV screen, quiet mode, whatever. Voice recognition here, volume. And then you can click it to mute. And then this is for our radio station presets. You can go through all that. And then this is our Bluetooth button here.
Turn Bluetooth on from your device in order to search.
And then I always want to turn this, but I love having the drive modes here. Eco, normal, sport. And those views are actually really neat too. Cancel this, get on my nerves. And then over here we can toggle our actual screen. And then we can use this, and then we can click it for OK to go through certain menus. And then we have our lane tracing here. We can turn that on and off. The smart cruise. And then we can set that, do all of that, and then we can set the distance indicator for that as well. Now for the shifter, really neat. Just hit the brake, turn this way for reverse, tap halfway for neutral, pull all the way for drive, press P for park. Once you get used to it, it makes a lot of sense. And then for our regen braking, we can use these paddle shifters here. You can dial it up or dial it back. Then windshield wipers, one one time there, and then we have the intermittent low and then high. Then we can adjust our intermittent here. Then we can pull that up for the front wiper fluid. And then headlamp controls here. And then in auto mode, we can toggle the automatic high beams. You can see it in green up there. But this gauge cluster, just a really, really inviting picture here. I really love that. And then just the dash. I love how clean that is. Just swooping. Just really impressed by this car. There's our push button start again. And finally, here is our key fob with remote start, which is a big plus because I have not been able to find a lot of EVs that have remote start for whatever reason. You have to use your phone or whatever, but I love that that has a remote start button. But now onto the fun part. Let's go ahead and take this 2023 Ioniq 5 SEL all-wheel drive out on the road for a quick test drive. So like I said, I drove the Ioniq 5 all-wheel drive at the Chicago Auto Show, and they had a little track for you to drive it on in the actual building, which was interesting. But this thing literally spun the tires and was stupid fast. And after I drove it, then I was like, man, you know what? I really want one of these. But I ended up not getting one, especially since they took away the tax credit for the non-US cars. But the Ioniq 5 looks a lot slower than it is. And that's what makes these so fun, specifically in the dual motor version, because this looks like it should have a Nissan Leaf sort of driving feel to it, and it doesn't. And the Kia EV6, in my opinion, looks a lot sportier than this, but this feels just as fast in the comparable model. And it's just, what's really neat is I love having the 3 levels of regen. So I have the 1-pedal drive on now, which they call the I-pedal. But then I can put it on level 3, level 2, level 1, and then no regen. Well, basically no regen. But there are really 3 distinct, I guess 4 distinct levels to the braking, which is really, really cool. But I like the I-pedal because it really does have like a brake pedal feel to it. Like I'm actually hitting the brakes as opposed to like gliding to a stop. And just so torquey, of course, with basically any EV. But I'm gonna put my foot all the way down in sport mode. And here we go. I mean, just incredibly quick. So now I'm gonna dial it back to the eco mode. And then put the adaptive cruise on. So we have the lane centering on along with the adaptive cruise. And one thing that is, Hyundai did such a good job with this vehicle, it's ridiculous. They just did an incredible job. I can actually see how many miles per kilowatt I'm getting. So as I start to keep from going downhill, that's 2.8 right there, which is showing me my average. And then it's showing me I'm just under that as I'm going up this steady incline. And it's just a really good way to keep track of your efficiency. And then another plus is this ride is really good for this kind of vehicle. Very, very impressed by it. cabin acoustics for the most part. I'm hearing wind noise, but what's crazy is now that I'm looking, like, there's a lot of glass here. And with all that being said, just really, really impressed by how insulated the sound is here. I'm having to talk just a little bit louder than I would in, let's say, like a Mercedes or something, but it's still relatively quiet in here. And once you turn the radio on, which is about I'd say it's a 7 out of 10 system, and that's saying a lot because this is not the premium sound system that you can get. I'm thinking it might be Harman Kardon maybe that comes on these, or maybe Bose, I'm not sure. But you can get an upgraded sound system in the Ioniq 5, and that's a great system. But even the stock one is good. And another cool thing is I have this setting on now. I'm going to show you what it does. In eco mode, you're using just the rear motor for the most part. But when you put it in a sport mode, you're using all 4 wheels. And there's just so much going on here. I love how it shows you, hey, you're getting charged in this mode. That's showing your speed there. Just absolutely awesome. And like I said, the iPedal feels incredible. So really neat. I've learned that now, that in normal and in sport mode, you're using all four wheels, but in eco mode, you're just using the back. And overall, in driving like this, I would probably keep it in eco mode, which I'm gonna put it back there just to see how it changes my driving style. And I guess it doesn't just use the rear wheels because it's using all-wheel drive now. It might be because I was already in that mode and it hasn't had time to switch back yet. But what's crazy is even in the eco mode, it feels faster than a Nissan Leaf. Yeah, so I guess I lied. It doesn't just use it. Maybe at higher speeds, it uses only the rear wheels for that efficiency, because it's using all 4 wheels now again in eco mode, which is kind of boring. I want to put it back in the sport mode. I mean, this sport mode is just really, really impressive, and I really just love the gauge cluster layout as well. Now, one thing to keep in mind, always make sure you turn this lane keeping system off when you're on a back road, because I always forget it's on, and it's always scaring me by giving me a jerk every so often. And I guess I have to go in manually and do that because it has lane keep assist, and then it also has the lane tracing that you get on the Hyundais and Kias, which is a really good system on a cheaper car. But when you're on the back roads, it's always like bouncing you back and forth, like harshly almost. Which, it's fine, it just gets a little annoying for me. But, I mean, I could basically do this and it'll just bounce me back and forth, so whatever. But I like to drive when I'm in town. I just don't trust a lot of this stuff. And I like to be more alert But really, really impressed by this car. I just can't say enough about it. Everything from the interior to how the steering wheel feels to how the steering feels is just, I see why it was, I think it was Motor Trend's Car of the Year in 2022. Like for its first year, it just Hyundai came hard with it. And specifically with the looks, I think that makes a big difference because the EV6 is basically riding on a similar, if not the same platform, not 100%. But this just feels so, like in every way, it feels so good, so refined. I'm gonna give it some power coming out of this corner here. Just so fast. Oh, it's so much fun. And I'm trying to think of at least one complaint about this car. I guess the lane keeping system. Other than that though, there's really no big drawback. Now I can't remember if this has the same charging infrastructure as the EV6, because the EV6 does get the, I think it's what is it, something volt, I don't remember, but it's like the fast charging. So you get, I think, 350 kilowatts or something. Just basically the yeah, I think it's 350 kilowatts, the charging infrastructure. That's a big plus because you can go from like 10 to 80% in 20 minutes or whatever. I don't know if the Ioniq 5 gets that, but if it did, I would definitely pick this over the EV6 and pretty much anything else all day. In terms of just the station wagon, small SUV segment. And even my Mach-E, as much as I love that car, because I love the sporty exterior look of it, this, if somebody gave me one of these, I would definitely sell my other car because I wouldn't drive it. This is just a very, very impressive vehicle. Now with the tax breaks being gone on them, and they're still $50,000+, and I don't have as much equity as my car as when the market was 100% nuts, I wouldn't trade it. But if I could get one of these at sticker and then get 5 over what I paid for mine, like I was offered at one time, I would do it. Because this is just a really impressive, there's no annoying quirks that I know about. Nothing crazy going on with these. They're just really, really great cars. And please feel free to leave a comment if there's something I missed, like, oh, these are known to catch on fire or whatever. Like, let me know, because I haven't heard anything bad about these, and I see why. But this will bring me to the end of my review of the new 2023 Hyundai Ioniq 5 SEL all-wheel drive.